Hey folks, welcome back to HeartGold vs. Crystal. We are here at the Indigo Plateau, and we are here to take on the Elite Four in what I like to call Elite Week. Our first person that we're going to challenge is this man in the purple hair and the mask. His name is Will, and he uses Psychic-type Pokemon. And as you might be able to guess, I have one Pokemon that is very, very good at taking out Psychic-type Pokemon. Can you guess who it is? I'll give you a hint. It's the guy who's immune to Psychic-type attacks. That's right, it's Everett. Everett is pretty rad. As a Dark-type, he is both super effective against Psychic types and immune to their attacks, which makes him very, very good against a majority of Will's team, especially the ones that only really use Psychic-type attacks. Anyway, Will leads with Xatu, which we haven't really seen much of. Unfortunately, it's a little out of the way to get a hold of. It's only available through a little, detour in Union Cave that you take on once you can surf. And why would you ever go back there once you can surf? To get special Pokemon that you couldn't get before, but wouldn't really know were there. But Xatu's pretty cool. It's Psychic Flying. I like it. I should use it sometime. Anyway, next up is Executor. You'd be stealing my ideas. And Executor, as I'm sure you know, is Grass Psychic, and is pretty good defensively. So I'm gonna give Bree a shot here using Flamethrower, see if I can get a little of my money's worth with that Flamethrower. And it does a pretty good job, but unfortunately, Bree isn't quick enough to outspeed it, and so what would be a 2 KO just doesn't happen. But hey, let's give Webster a try against this guy for some reason, even though Webster is Heart Poison type and thus is weak to Psychic type moves. That sounds like a good decision. Yeah. So, like the gym leaders, Elite Four members specialize in a certain type. And that means for certain Elite Four members, certain members of my team will simply not be used. Everett will never be subject to such things, because he's useful in basically every fight. But in this case, Webster, really not the greatest. And here we have a Jinx. Jinx is a Psychic Ice type, which means if Bree were still alive, it might have been able to get a Flamethrower in and do good damage, but because it is an Ice type, it would have been super effective against Bree, and that would be dangerous. Jinx is weird. There's controversy about whether or not she was designed as a racial stereotype, and by mentioning that, I'm probably going to spark controversy in the comments. No official word has been said on the matter, so anything otherwise is all speculation, but its skin color was changed from black to purple for the American release of Gold Silver. It was actually black in the Japanese release, but they changed it for localization, and then it was changed forever since. Anyway, it's kind of annoying, one, because Ice types tend to actually, get super effective hits in on the least convenient Pokemon that you want to use, but also because it has that move Lovely Kiss, which can put your Pokemon to sleep. And it is more accurate than Hypnosis, which makes it a bit of a jerk. And then it just has the gall to freeze Everett. I don't know where it gets off trying to do something like that. What a jerk. Now, I could hypothetically use a full restore to both heal Everett's HP and get rid of the status effect, but Jinx is doing so little damage that I feel comfortable enough healing them separately and saving the full restore for a rainy day. And that, of course, means that I will never use that full restore ever, because I'm one of those guys who holds on to valuable items, because what if I need it later? Anyway, after those shenanigans, Jinx goes down to an unnecessary critical, hooray. Jinx, I would say, is one of the two real powerhouses of the team for Will, other than this guy, Slowbro. Slowbro is a water psychic, and he is a jerk because he is highly defensive. Kind of the same reason I use Everett against everything. Slowbro takes hits like a beast, and he has the moves Amnesia and Curse, which will allow him to raise his special defense and physical defense stats, respectively. But because Slowbro is kind of an idiot, it can be used to his advantage. Also his own tempo, which sucks. But you will see, I guess it's kind of the AI bugging out and being stupid. I'm not entirely sure exactly why he followed the strategy. But you will see that he just continues to use Curse over and over to increase his stats, even though I'm using a special move against him, and he's in severe danger of fainting. And he has several attack cups. Like, he could put in an attack and do some damage, but he just doesn't. He allows himself to succumb to the darkness. Bye, Slowbro. I like Slowbro. Slowbro are actually really useful, especially in game. But that one kind of dumb, looks like. Anyway, he closes his team with another Xatu. And this one, I believe, is 2 levels higher than the last one, yeah. Honestly, I don't know what Xatu excels in, because it's not really a super popular Pokemon with really standout capabilities, so I just don't know what it's good at, other than looking really cool. Has Aerial Ace. Aerial Ace has perfect accuracy if you're using a double team strategy against these guys for some reason. Really, not necessary to do that. But yeah, as I kind of expected, and as I have absolutely no shame in doing, Everett kind of walls everything on this guy's team. So that's good. That's very good. And check out the battle in Crystal after this commercial break. Alrighty, Crystal fight against Will, and overall the strategy here is going to be very similar to the battle in HeartGold, because I have precisely one genuinely useful Pokemon against Will, and that's Everett. Now, I'd like to note that any numerical inconsistencies within this battle are purely figments of your imagination, and you should pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Now, the unfortunate thing about using Everett here is that, compared to HeartGold, his battle power, his guns, his overall strength is lower, not only because he's a slightly lower level, but also because his best and only Dark-type move, Feint Attack, has a lower base power than Dark Pulse. And since in Crystal, it runs off the special attack stat just like Dark Pulse does, it will just not do as much damage. So that the lower base power combined with Everett's lower level will just straight up not do as much damage to the opponent, such as in the case of this Xatu, which really should have been 2-hit KO'd, but was not. But overall, again, the strategy's pretty similar. Use Dark-type move, use the Dark-type Pokemon who doesn't take damage from Psychic-type moves, and everything will work out hunky-dory eventually. Now, things are a little different for Exeggutor here, because Bree doesn't have Flamethrower. I am deciding to mix things up a little bit and bring in my own Exeggutor, which actually doesn't work out great, because as you can see, Frida is a lower level than the opponent. That is a true statement. And also the opponent, in addition to that, has a stronger, just straight-up attack than Frida does. He has Psychic right there, whereas Frida is stuck with just Confusion, which is significantly weaker. So Frida's Confusion combined with Poison won't match the damage of the opponent Executor's Psychic. And while I could easily just spam a few healing items and bring him down with Frida if I wanted to, Frida is also my highest level Pokemon on Crystal, so I don't feel as bad sharing the experience with you-know-who, with Everett. But yeah, didn't work out quite as planned. Frida is a lot more useful against these Psychic types, because she is part Psychic, and thanks to her evolution, she has higher defensive stats. So she resists and just has high defensive stats against all the opponent's Psychic-type moves. But not quite as useful as a guy who just outright negates them. Also, watch this animation. This is the silliest animation. Never noticed that animation, like, before recording this commentary, but it's just the silliest animation. Anyway, next up we have Jinx, as you might expect. And Jinx, as you might expect, uses basically the same moves, right down to using Ice Punch and Lovely Kiss. Not even a variation in the exact move of the same type. And it'll serve mostly the same purpose. It will kill basically the same Pokemon that you used before, and then that it killed before. And overall, yes, Everett should use moves against this thing, and it will go down eventually. Hooray. Yeah, unfortunately Will is not the most thrilling member of the Elite Four. Partially because he's the first guy and he can't be too difficult, but partially because Everett is just the only really useful guy against him. And again, Bree doesn't have Flamethrower, so I don't have really the opportunity to try to bring that in and see if it works, even though Ice Punch would be super effective against Bree anyway. Now, it's not like there aren't other ways to take care of the Pokemon that Will has. It's just I don't have any of these other methods. I don't have a Fire type, so I can't take care of Executor that way. My Flying type doesn't have extremely good Flying type moves. And just, like, good luck trying to get a decent bug move that isn't U-turn or maybe Mega Horn. And both of those are... Well, one of those really should be able to apply to Webster, but he's part poison, that wouldn't be very good anyway. And then Jinx, you could use Fighting if you wanted to, although that would be neutral. You could use Rock. You can use Fire. You could use Electricity or Rock against these Xatu. It's just, I don't have any of those moves, and on the off chance that I do, generally the Pokemon using them are too fragile to really put them into effect as much as it would be useful. So I'm stuck using Everett, and it's not like I dislike Everett. I love Everett. I think I love him too much, and that could be construed very poorly, but I feel bad just using Everett all the time, because that's the same stuff. You've seen it all before. This started with the Claire battle, and it's just kind of going to be the theme for all the main big fights for the rest of the Elite Four. Anyway, look at that! Look at that! Look at that Xatu. The Xatu's levels are actually unchanged between the two versions. I wasn't paying attention to the other Pokemon's levels, but look at that. Xatu, unchanged level. Oh, look at you, using a Max Potion. Aren't you special? He's not even using a full restore, actually, so if you were feeling feisty and wanted to take this guy through Poison or through Burn, then lo and behold, the Maxer Potion would not get rid of those. But that's not a big thing. If you're trying to win a battle against Will through attrition, you probably need to train a little bit, because the rest of the Elite Four are going to be a lot more difficult. Anyway, for whatever reason he decided to switch up his team order, so he's actually finishing with Slowbro this time around. Isn't that new and exciting? Anyway, right after I said that if you tried to win a fight against Will through attrition, it's time to bring in Frida and beat this Slowbro through attrition. Because Frida is that's what I feel like doing. And Everett has had enough screen time today. So I'm gonna bring out the typical Frida strategy, which is actually pretty good against the Slowbro, since it does like to buff itself with defensive capabilities, you know, raising physical defense and special defense. Bringing in the poison and the leech seed is actually a valid tactic to make sure that I'm constantly doing damage. And since those, the health drainage from those aren't actually affected by his defensive stats, I could just sit on my hands if necessary. And of course I really wish that I had Toxic at this point, because Toxic is such a good move, and it would speed up all of these attrition battles. But we're gonna have to wait a while. But anyway, now that both of those are set up, I can just let Frida, leave, I guess. Past self, I really thought you were ahead of this. I thought you'd left your ever-abusing ways behind. But no. Is this for sharing experience? Is this just to make sure you're doing slightly more damage, even though you could have just used Confusion a few times and it would have worked out? Oh, look at that. Body Slam. Basically did nothing. And Slowbro goes down. So yeah, that was Will. He's not the most exciting. Unfortunately, he didn't even use an Alakazam, despite using a Psychic-type member. I don't really understand that. He had two Xatu. He could have switched out an Alakazam. Alakazams are really good. But that takes care of Will, and I will see you guys next time for the second member of the Elite Four.